Everyone who has taken their motorcycle outside of Europe knows the following experience. You're on some muddy road, incredibly bad conditions, and you really struggle with your adventure bike. And then two locals without a helmet just blast past you a lot quicker than you with zero problems whatsoever on a bike that looks not equipped at all for those conditions and has street tires. I'm sitting on that bike. That's the Honda CBF 125. It has loads of different names across the world. This bike has a very bare bones setup. It has a 125cc engine that produces 10 horsepower and 10 Newton meters of torque. That's a third less than the competition, but that makes this bike incredibly fuel efficient and incredibly reliable. You have the bike can run 100 kilometers in less than 2 liters. And with a fuel capacity of 11 liters, you have like over 600 kilometers of range. And somehow this bike is very off-road capable, and that has a lot to do with its very, very low weight of 110 kilos. The way this bike is now set up here by the owner, Eric, is now 117 kilos because he has done a bunch of modifications to the machine. And yeah, welcome Eric to the channel. Thank you for letting me ride your wonderful Honda CBF 125, and you made it a CBF 125X. With all the modifications you've done to it, what have you done to the bike since you've owned it?
I wanted to use this bike as a commuter first, but I decided a little different. In the course of over 5 months, I started modifying this bike to a way you wouldn't really accept it to be. This is my little adventure bike, and I just started with the basics. I needed luggage space to store like everyday items, groceries, my work clothes and so on. And I thought, you know, that's not gonna be the end. I decided to add a different handlebar. I went with foldable mirrors, a windscreen, a phone mount for RAM mounts, a bunch of other stuff like heated grips. And after that I decided, oh well, now it's more comfortable, but where's the fun of making it more capable? So I decided to add crash guards, auxiliary LED lights that do a lot of difference, a homemade skid plate, an aftermarket exhaust from Hurricane that also slightly increased the torque of this bike, but not the power. And yeah.
Definitely thanks for letting me test ride this bike, and after I've done test riding it, we will still hear loads of stories of what you've already experienced with this amazing machine. And yeah, with such a basic setup, let's see how it actually feels to sit on. For context, I'm now a bit tall for this machine. I'm 6'5" or 1 meter 96 centimeters. This bike is definitely built for a smaller man than myself. Oh, I'm sorry. But this is roughly how I sit on it. The body position of this motorcycle is not made for my size. Like, my knees are definitely going past the molds on the tank, and it is made for a man smaller than myself, but it's a really basic setup. You have completely solid foot pegs. If those things are scraping, you're going down. But this is a commuter. You're supposed to go to work, do everything with it, and in some ways this bike is more practical than a scooter if you live in a certain area. And let's explore why this thing is blasting past every ADV bike when you're on a motorbike tour. So let's go. First of all, this bike basically always turns on, and as soon as you press the button, it's basically on. The bike is relatively small. And even with loads of wheel spin we're managing here. The bike has a combined brake, so the front and rear brake are braking at the same time, which can be a bit tricky, but apart from that, it's basically handling everything here, as you see. Yeah, with its 125, this bike actually turns out to be plenty capable. And you have here stuff like very loose, wet sand. Oh! Yeah, we just went over quite a steep turn. Yeah, that's stuff that's already pretty scary on any other bike. So let's see if this bike can make it up here. This thing is plenty capable. One of the reasons for that, the bike is basically built like a bicycle, and with its 110 kilos and those 110 kilos being very low, and the low point of gravity basically makes this possible. In Germany, this bike is allowed to pull 120 kilos, but one of the reasons why it also just goes up everywhere is this thing can still pull like crazy. Like, Eric told me that he sometimes uses the bike to pull a trailer when it comes to forest work. Tough enduro stuff works pretty well. Let's see how much of an issue actually the combined brake is when going downhill. Short info, we cannot go into the water because the water is very, very deep, even though it doesn't look like it. Yeah, so you slightly feel the front brake coming on as well. But it's no big deal. And those, you don't see it, but those are very bad sand conditions. Like, you just have absolute wheel spin. I would be a bit worried trying this with a bike with more power. Or we are a bit too slow. But we can still ride it out. Oh. Honestly, the bike stops like it has an anchor. Pretty good. So we now have a little challenge in front of us where people on an ADV bike usually stay away from. We have a very steep uphill around this corner with loads of like bush, and it's quite steep, and we have street tires, and if we fuck that up, not good. And that's the luxury on being on this machine. You can manage stuff like this, and that at a pretty low level. So still a bit scared, but let's see if I can actually manage that. Here we go. Bah! Bah! Yeah, but we just blasted through that. No worries whatsoever. And now down here, like very fucking steep, but we're managing. And no matter what speed, the thing just fucking takes it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, this bike. Really a lot of fun. Whoopala. Oh, with a bit more speed, we can make that thing jump over there. Honestly, if you want to feel like a big adventure bike rider, get this motorcycle. This is incredibly fun. This motorbike might not be the fastest or the beautifulest, but every challenge you will encounter, this bike can do it. So I'm currently trying to jump a motorcycle for the very first time in my life. Let's see how it's going. Also, the amount of control you just have over this machine in every situation. Yeah, the bike doesn't have a rev meter, but it has a gear indicator, and the gear indicator is almost more important. A bit of a shame with the rev indicator, but you get used to hearing it. So, how do we go down here now in the right way? So let's really try to get this thing into the air now. The starting feel of this machine is so amazing, because when you turn it on, it just like starts to go. And yeah, let's do a bit of a road test, shall we? Let's see how fast this thing can go from 0 to 100. Well, it will get there eventually. The bike has 5 gears, so it feels a bit quicker than some of the other 125s from Sim and Mash. And yeah, a little tip from someone who has been around motorbikes on this channel and outside of this channel: stay away from the other 125s with 10 horsepower from Sim and Mash. Sim still kind of okay, doable, but Mash absolutely no, don't do it. The bike feels like a bicycle, and you can just cruise on it and it just does its job. We now didn't reach 100 because there's a town coming, but let's turn around and try that again. And then this time properly. You don't have a rev meter, but you very quickly get a feel for hearing how quick the bike is going. And into the sunset, trying our best to reach 100. Let's get all aerodynamic on this machine. Fifth gear. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. I think we have to go down again because it's not. Yeah, now we're going 86, 86. Come on. With improved aerodynamics, we're beating the 90. 90. 95, 96, 97, 98, 90. Oh, there's a truck, sadly. Come on, come on. 99, 99, 99, 99. Give me the 100. Yeah, we have 100. Right before the turns are coming, we have reached the 100. We've did it. The bike can do 100 on the speedometer. Yeah, it's like a bicycle so far. It does its job. And what I said earlier about the seating position, you can fight it a bit with like just moving back a bit. The tire choice on the bike can be a bit limited. You're a bit limited to the weird Chinese tires, but there are also a few. But there also is like, I think, 1 or 2 brands that you can put on them, and there are also novelty tires that fit on this, like K60 Scout fits. And street tire wise, you will find something. Not a big choice, but you will find something. Through the bike being so small, the handling is really nice and really easy. Of course, the engine doesn't evoke a lot of emotion, but I feel like a comparison to the Royal Enfield Himalayan is pretty close, you know, because I'm not the biggest fan of the 411 engine. I mean, it's probably great for touring, but like in a general riding around aspect, it's not bad or anything, but like this could really well be an option if that's not in your price range and you just want any motorbike. And if any bike does. The bike has this character that it can go up in first gear basically every steep angle. And that combined with that it just handles okay on road, like this is still fun. And in the city, of course, this is amazing because you basically have the most narrow bike that can fit through everywhere. This thing is so small and handleable, and you can really feel this bike weighs nothing. Yeah, and one thing that's always really noticeable to me on a motorcycle is the turning circle. And look, this is a small road, no middle line. We're not taking our feet off the foot pegs, and it does it. So now, after having test-ridden this motorcycle, it is really incredible that this street-focused machine handles off-road actually quite well due to its low weight and then the low center of mass, and also to all your great modifications. And you already told me you already did quite a lot of trips with the bike. Where did you actually take your little adventure build? Because it's so cool that you literally built your own adventure bike, basically.
Well, I'm just gonna start with the shortest trip that I did with this bike.
Okay.
It's actually from where I live in my flat to my shop. That's a total of 60 meters. I rode there, yes. I'm too lazy to push this bike around. But let's get to the serious stuff. This thing is my everyday hero. It gets me to work, it gets me to get groceries, as already mentioned, and it just... If I want to go somewhere, like actually go somewhere, I'm taking this thing. Well, this bike has taken me to the Trans-Zero Hotel Netherlands. I went to the TED France this year in April. Also the TED Belgium, but TED Belgium is just basically roads with really big potholes, so that was pretty disappointing. But anyways, pretty big trips around a few countries now. And overall, this bike has my really trusty companion for a solid 43,000 kilometers.
Yeah, that's all in all really cool, I have to say. And the thing is, the value for money that you're getting here is just absolutely incredible. Like you already said, you're basically doing everything with this bike. Everything that's basically commuting, getting somewhere. Like the bike on the road basically just rides. That's all you can say. It barely reaches 100, but it takes you places, and at the same time, it is very reliable, very low fuel consumption, and all in all, just a great package. And the bike here in Europe costs $2,600, and then with shipping slightly over 3,000, and that is an incredible price. There are many 125s for that price on the market, but let's be honest, a lot of them are pretty bad. I've worked in a motorcycle dealership for some time and know a bit the Chinese 125 engines, and yeah, get this one. This one is in that price range, basically the best you can get. And with this weight package, even without the modifications, you still have an incredibly capable bike that, if you would want to, can do the Trans-Europe Trail. And yeah, the bike has proven itself all over the world, because if you go to some place, this is always the motorbike that is passing you as soon as there's a gravel road with loads of mud and you like have to go get slow, and in a car or on a bigger motorbike, this is always the thing that's passing you. So all in all, a really great bike. As I just talked about the better value for money that you're getting out of this machine over a bike like the Himalayan, what are the reasons that you originally bought this bike basically, and why did you keep it for such a long time, 40,000 kilometers?
Well, first of all, I don't have it for a long time now. It's just 1.5 years. I just bought it new in February 2023. So yeah, I've only had it for now, 1.5 years. But what keeps me owning this bike is a little bit of history. It's about a family member. I wanted to give this as their first bike. Sadly, rest in peace to my little sister Anna. She passed away in October 2022. I already pre-ordered this bike and I was thinking sell it or keep it, and I decided, you know what, you're gonna pick it up, you're gonna ride it. And so far, with a thought about this bike should have been for my sister, I always ride it because it gives me a little bit back of memories, because she knew she was gonna get one of these. Oh well, she knew she was gonna get this one. But back in February, I didn't really know what I'm gonna do with it, to be honest. I did take it to work and I realized, hey, well, you're gonna save a ton of fuel on this bike. Like in a month I did about 2,000 kilometers, and it's like 2.5 fuel tanks. That gets you up to 50 to 55 euros. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm gonna keep it. And after that, it escalated just a tiny bit.
Definitely on that point, huge thanks to you for letting me ride your motorcycle, because it's one thing being allowed to ride an expensive bike that's like $15,000 or something. It's a totally different story being allowed to ride a motorcycle that has a huge sentimental value. So it's gladly appreciated. And yeah, I think apart from this being the Honda CBF 125, there's a special connection that you get to a motorcycle, and if you've ridden your bike for some time, you kind of like want to keep it and it becomes your own. And with your experience with this bike, it basically became your own, and with like all the modifications. And I feel like if you get this bike, because of the low price, you will have a lot of different experiences with it. You can do so much with it, and this bike over time will become your own from all the adventures you will have with it. Because a bike for like around $3,000 new, most likely cheaper on the used market, will be a very trustworthy companion that you can put through everything. And yeah, also the bike already has its little scars, which I would say the bike carries gracefully. It's all in all such a like little reliable machine that can do everything. It's nothing special, it's not super powerful, but it gets you to work and it gets you to places. And no wonder that this is such a common bike that you see in.
And it will also never stop doing its job.
It
will never stop doing its job. It's proven Honda reliability, so there's, as I said, 43,000 kilometers and still counting.
And for 125, that's actually very good. And with the under-stressed engine, I think that's a really good package. And no wonder that you're seeing these bikes basically on every continent constantly. So yeah, I hope you guys like this little deep dive into this, basically the most practical commuter and travel bike. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And feel free to leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell. And see you guys in the next video.